A very good morning to you. How are you doing? Welcome to another beautiful Wednesday. Financial Clinic Yamfuko. I've put the bench outside. As always, we have sanitized it. Today it's longer because you need to maintain social distancing. So, mkae pole pole msisukumane. Today we want to talk about wealth creation. Is it possible? Rags to riches. These stories we hear sometimes. Nilianza na kuuza makaa. If I start like that, am I able to build wealth? Why is it that it seems some people are able to build wealth and others are not? Is it that everybody who has built wealth is a corrupt individual? Because that's something most of us believe in this nation. Is it possible? Does wealth creation leave breadcrumbs that we can follow? Somebody says success always leaves a trail for those who are careful enough to follow it. Does the same apply to wealth creation? Are there laws that pertain to be able to build and to create wealth? If they are, we want to talk about them today as we talk about wealth creation. That's the discussion we are going to be having on the Financial Clinic today. And I'm inviting your questions on 20316, WhatsApp 0786 316 316. Does it mean that if I have a low salary that I'm doomed to stay there forever? Or are there things I can begin to do now to ensure in the next 5-10 year span my story is absolutely different from where I began? It is the Financial Clinic, and today we look at the laws of wealth creation. That's the topic of discussion this morning, and inviting your questions on 20316, WhatsApp 0786 316 316. Corporate financial analyst in studio with me, Rina Karina Hicks. Always a blessing to have you.
Hi, Pastor Jimo.
Good to have you. It's been a while since I hosted you on my show.
It has been.
Yes.
You don't like me anymore.
We'll talk after the show. Maybe you need to repent of your sins.
Clearly.
I was asking a very interesting question.
Sure.
Maybe it's a question you've come across. I was asking people if you're given the option of being given 2 million shillings cash, or you sign a contract for 2 years, your salary is 150,000 a month. What would you go for? Interestingly, a lot of people are saying, I'd go for the business. But there are those who are saying, you know what, I know myself, I'm not that disciplined in business. I'll go for the job and build from there.
Okay.
I don't know what you think about that scenario.
So I think it's going to be different things for different people depending on where you're at.
Okay.
So because I do have a business, I'll probably go with the 2 million shillings.
Yes.
Because if I'm to work, it means my time is occupied in this job for 150K. I'm like, I'll take the 2 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about wealth and wealth creation and the laws of wealth creation. I think the first place maybe we can start by defining, when we talk about wealth, what are we talking about? Is it just lots and lots of money? Like a truckload of money?
That's part of it. It's a lot of money, but not just a lot of money. It's over and above what you need for your necessities. So over and above what you need to pay school fees, to pay rent, to pay your mortgage, to pay all the different things that you have that you need to pay for, you have over and above that. So, you have your house, for example. You have your children going to good schools or that you want them to go to. And then over and above that, if you have extra, that's wealth. Yes, obviously peace of mind, joy, all those things. Good health, because health is wealth as well. So that is also part of it. But a significant portion of wealth is to do with money and the ability to be able to have extra beyond your needs.
Okay. Is it possible for everybody to build wealth?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
Everybody can build wealth because the Bible tells me so. And in fact, I think that the example I like to use is Matthew 25, the parable of the talents. I think it starts from verse 14.
Yes.
And when you read it, it explains that all these guys were, I think there were 3 or 4. There were 3.
Yes.
They were working for this master. The master did not single out different ones of them and say, no, I'll give this one, I won't give this one. They were all given. And even all of us have been given talents, abilities, skills, opportunities, each and every one of us, each according to their ability to handle whatever God has given you. Every one of us have been given an opportunity to create wealth. It's the question is, what is it that you've done with what is in your hands? Some people have been able to create more, like the guy who was given 5 talents created
5 more.
Yeah. The other one was given 2, doubled. Then there was one who did nothing. So that's the difference, that there's some who are just able to create a lot more with what they have, and others look at what they have and like, no, what is this?
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it a mindset issue?
It's a mindset issue. It's an attitude issue.
Uh-huh.
And it just goes down to, I think it's one core principle that has many principles within it,
Uh-huh.
and it's stewardship.
Ooh, stewardship.
It's a big word.
Stewardship.
Yeah.
Because I think for a good number of people, we dream of getting this lump sum, winning a jackpot. One day,
Yeah.
I will win this jackpot, and then I will be wealthy.
Yeah.
And so we live for this one day that never comes. We work all our lives dreaming of this one day. We retire, then we realize we have nothing. We start depending on our children to sustain us, still dreaming of one day
Yeah.
until we die, and that day never comes.
True. In fact, I'm trying to remember the verse. It's in Proverbs, and I think I wrote it down. And it basically talks about that when you receive money suddenly from means that are not right, it dwindles away. But the man who gets money little by little, they're able to grow it. It's Proverbs 13:11.
Yeah.
It says, dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little
Yes.
makes it grow. There's something about working hard and getting some, and keeping and saving, and then working hard and getting more. Most people who get money suddenly, these who come to money through sports and beauty, or inheritance, or even
lotteries. Yeah.
Hardly do you hear of them as examples for wealth creation, because many times their wealth goes from here, and then by the time they're going to 80s and 90s, their wealth is down here, because they're used to quick money. But people who've had the opportunity to understand the principles of how money works, have taken time to work, save a little, they know they're diligent, and they know how to keep the money and to grow it. But these other guys don't, because they've not had an opportunity to work and understand what does it take to make 1 million shillings.
Okay.
They don't know. It's been given to them through inheritance or some other means. Yeah.
So you just squander it.
So you just squander it. You squander it because you think it comes easy. You don't really, you've not put in place the things that you need to set up so that you can get that money. I'm just trying to think of an example of different people. When I think of even secular wealthy people, say Oprah, for example, she didn't wake up wealthy. She worked hard. In fact, there's an example of a guy who I like. I've written about him in my book. He's called Daniel Adongo. Young guy. Watched his brother play rugby when he was little, and a few other people who played for the Kenya team, and he's like, I want to be like those guys. At the age of 17, he was signed on by Kenya Harlequins Football Club at the age of 17, when the average age of a typical rugby player was 24 to 25. And he was like, you know what, I want to go to the highest level possible. And he worked hard, and he applied and got accepted to a team in South Africa, an academy. I think it was called the Sharks in South Africa. And he worked hard and then was taken by the Blue Bulls, which is the most dominant side in South Africa. These guys are the ones who sent players to the South African rugby team, the national team. He played for them and then ended up in New Zealand. While playing in New Zealand, working very hard, he was spotted by some guy in Hong Kong who got him to play in the National Football League, NFL football in the US. Now, to put this into perspective, out of 100,000 Americans who play football in schools, only 215 of them get accepted
to the NFL.
This is a guy who was born where? Went to Strathmore, went to Queens. I mean, a Kenyan who's never, ever played football, beat those guys and was taken to play for the Indianapolis Colts in the US. What am I saying? This guy was able to shine through because of diligence. I watched an interview with him and Jeff Koinange. And what this guy said is he woke up and went for training 2 hours earlier before the team came. Basically, when he was accepted by the Colts, they were like, okay, so this guy has a structure, physique, everything. He's good. He has the ingredients. But it'll probably take him 2 to 3 years to join the team, to first team, right? Do you know, he woke up 2 hours, started training 2 hours earlier. The team would come, he does the drills they're doing. After 2 hours, would leave. The team would leave, and he stays for another 2 hours training.
That's 6 hours.
Imagine, in less than 1 year, he was on the starting team. But that's diligence, and that's what it takes. But you can't, the problem with us is that we want to go on the least resistant path.
Yeah.
You know, we want to be able to do least effort and get maximum results. Imagine, Pastor Jemo, there's nothing like that.
It doesn't work.
It does not work. You just wake up today and recognize that yesterday has gone.
Yeah.
Forever and ever, it's never coming back. Today is a new day. I have to be diligent, and diligence is not just working hard.
Yeah.
It's putting every careful effort to ensure that I do the best that I can, seeking opportunities. Those guys, when you read Matthew 25, this guy gave the 5 talents to one guy, and the one guy, it says he at once he went and traded that money. How do you do it at once? He was ready. He already had the opportunity available to him. You're telling me about 2 million versus 150,000?
Yes.
The guys who are saying 150,000 at work, it's because they don't have an opportunity.
Yeah.
They've not taken time to think through, who am I, what do I want to do, and what opportunities exist for me to be able to make money. So that if God gives you money today, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
So if you're not in that space where you have an idea, an opportunity, you're not going to get money.
Very true. Very true. So are there laws to wealth creation?
So the first one, I'd say, is diligence.
Diligence.
Yeah. Because with diligence, you know, there are people who want to have you work for them to help them do things. If you're a diligent person, hardworking, you're faithful. Another one is faithfulness. I know that if I ask Pastor Jemo to do XYZ for me, he will do it over and above what is required, and he will deliver. Then I know it's not, I'm not going to have to chase this guy. I'm not going to have to, you know, accountability is the third one. You need to be somebody who is accountable. That you don't need somebody lording over you, telling you, have you done, what have you done? You know, the other day I went to an office, actually it's about a year ago. We're looking for some information. So we walk into the reception and there was this lady with this big Bible open.
Yes.
Right? Very busy doing her QT. I guess it was lunchtime or something.
Yeah.
So we're like, she didn't even look up. And I guess when you sense somebody has come through the door.
Definitely.
She didn't look up. I was like, excuse me. And she was like, yes.
Wow.
Yeah? I said, this one is going to stay there till she dies. How do you behave like that?
You didn't tell her anything?
I was in shock.
Me would have said something.
You'd have said something. Yeah. I'm like, you have the Bible open. Do you read that Bible, understand what it says? Like, honestly. What are you reading? If the way you're behaving to somebody who has come to ask for assistance in your company, that's how you're reacting, I was in shock. Like, we interrupted serious prayer time or whatever it is she was doing.
You interrupted her time with God. God was saying something.
By the way, so that's that aspect of behavior.
That's an attitude, Sidio.
It's an attitude problem. So that law of accountability and faithfulness, you're supposed to do QT. You wake up early, excuse me. Wake up at 4 a.m. so that by the time you get to work, or do it at night, but that time that you're working, that's not the time to start reading your Bible at work. No, you're supposed to be working.
Yes.
And God will not reward you for reading your Bible because you read it. Really?
Unless your work is like mine, you can read your Bible while doing the work because it's part of the work. But I like what you're saying, because then I think sometimes we say, when I have my own, then I'll work hard, I'll be diligent. But now that you're working in another man's shamba, so to speak, you're not diligent, you're not dependable. It doesn't work that way, does it?
No. In fact, I'm reminded of Luke 16, where it's very clear that if you do not handle what you have been given, that is somebody else's, well, you're not going to get your own.
You won't,
If I'm renting a house today, right, and the roof is leaking, the softboard is coming apart, the kitchen drawers are falling apart, will I ever get a house of my own? How will I ever get a house of my own?
Yeah.
I mean, God clearly says, if you don't treat what He has given you, that is somebody else's, well, you will not get any of your own. But if you treat it well, even favor comes upon you from those who are around us. If you see me treating something well, you want to give me yours to manage. We all need to be good managers of what has been given to us, because those are the people who get opportunities, people who are able to manage what they have effectively and efficiently, to generate more, to stretch that shilling further, to make that thing last longer, to create value and beautiful things from what you've been given. Those guys who are able to create more with what they have, those guys will always get more. those guys will always be wealthy. But those who just, I'll treat when mine comes is when, no.
So really what you're telling me is that the attitude has to change before the wealth begins to come in.
Absolutely. Because if my attitude is not aligned with an attitude of abundance, an attitude of caring for what I have, of faithfulness, of accountability, then it's not going to happen. I mean, I if you owned apartments, let's say you owned 30 blocks of apartments spread around Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu.
Are you a prophet? Professor.
I am.
Professor.
And you owned a transport business, right? That transports flowers from here to Ethiopia, for example.
Yeah.
And you own a plane or two. Who are you going to get to manage your business? Because you're so busy, you can't take a... Who, tell me, what kind of qualities are you going to look for in a person?
I'm telling you, look for the top notch.
Exactly.
Not just any Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Top notch in what way?
In management, in how, first of all, they carry themselves.
Yeah.
Their attitude. Are they somebody I can entrust? You know, somebody with the attitude and the mindset of Joseph in the Bible.
Yeah.
You know, who's a good manager, who will treat this property and this wealth as his own.
Thank you.
Yes.
Those are the laws, in my view. Because that's what God is looking for. And it doesn't even say, you didn't even mention. Do you know what you didn't say? A Christian. Do you know what you didn't say? Bible believing. You didn't say anything. You didn't say any of those things.
No.
And God doesn't say any of those things either.
Wow.
He doesn't. It's who is diligent, who is a good steward, a good manager of the resources that I have given to him, the time I have given to him, those children God has given you, those employees God has given you. How are you treating them, James?
Wow.
How are you treating them? How are you treating the people around you that God has given you as resources, human resource to help you do what he has called you to do? I'm telling you, if you are not treating the resources that God has given you with diligence, with accountability, with faithfulness, then you're not going to go in. And diligence is a big one because it's not just about working hard.
No.
As I said earlier, it's about not procrastinating, ensuring you put best effort to deliver beyond what is expected of you.
Right there is where we have a problem with many people.
Yeah.
I keep hearing, even in employment circles, you know, sometimes, me, I can't do that. That's not part of my JD.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, that's not my JD. My JD doesn't say I need to do that. Find somebody else to do that.
Yeah. And, you know, as an employer, when you are looking for who you are going to give more responsibilities, you look for who is already handling more.
Yes.
Who is doing over and above.
Even the Bible says, to him who has much more will be given to them.
Can I just read Matthew 25?
Go right
just
ahead.
very quickly.
Yeah, we can read the Bible when we're working.
At least I'm not in a secular station, so I can just go right ahead and do it.
Yes.
And it says, the parable of the talents. So first of all, know this, that you have been given.
Yeah.
It's not that you have me, I don't have. You have been given.
Yeah.
It's just there are different things you've been given. For it's just like a man who was about to take a journey. I'm reading it from the Amplified Version. And he called his servants together and entrusted them with his possessions. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, each according to his own ability. And then he went on his journey. So first of all, a talent is about a weight of about 26 to 36 kgs of something. So if we assume it's silver, 1 talent of silver is about 15 years of wages.
Wow.
1 talent. 15 years of wages. So first of all, these guys were not given little money.
They're not given little money.
No. So the guy was given 5 talents. Let's just assume even 50K, right? 50,000 shillings per month salary times 12 months is 600K.
Yeah.
600K times 15 years is how much? Is 9 million.
Wow.
1 talent is equal to 9 million at 50,000 shillings a month. A lot of people listening to this earn 300K.
Yeah.
200K. Some even a million. I'm talking about 50,000 shillings. 1 talent is valued at 9 million shillings. Okay. So this one guy was given 5. That's 45 million shillings. You're talking about 2 million at for
a business.
For a business. This guy was given 45 million shillings.
Yes.
And so he went on his journey. The one who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded with them, and he gained 5 more. So he ended up with 90 million.
Yes.
Then likewise, the one who had 2 gained 2 more, but the one who had received the 9 million shillings, went and dug a hole in the ground.
That's a big hole.
And hid his master's money.
Imagine.
The master came back and he was like, master, you entrusted me with 5 talents. See, I've made, these guys had made. And the master said, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful and trustworthy over a little. I will put you in charge of many things. Share in the joy of your master. Also, the one who had 2 came forward saying, Master, you entrusted me with 2 talents. See, I have made profit and gained 2 more talents. His master said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful and trustworthy over a little. I will put you in charge of many things. When you are faithful and trustworthy with a little, you're given more to manage. More responsibility, more resources, more favor, more everything, more talents. You will get more. The one who had received 1 also came forward saying, Master, I knew you to be a harsh and demanding man, reaping the harvest when you did not sow and gathering where you did not scatter seed. So I was afraid to lose the talent, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. See, you have what is your own. Now, he didn't lose this money.
No.
That's important to recognize. He didn't lose it. He still had it. The 9 million shillings he was given.
He still had it.
He still had it intact and gave it back. Listen to what the master says. You wicked and lazy servant. You knew that I reap where I did not sow, gather where I did not scatter seed. Then you ought to have put my money with the bank.
Yeah.
And at my return, I would have received my money back with interest. So take the talent away from this guy and give it to the one who has 10 talents. So for me, it's not even that he lost the money, because you can even try and fail. But that's not the point. It's that you didn't try. He says, you wicked and lazy servant, because of hiding the money. Wicked. That God has given you something and you're not using, you're wicked. That's the Bible, and it's in red letter print, not me. True. It's Jesus.
In fact, on that one, we need to gulp some water to cool ourselves off. So, if you're not doing anything with what God has given you, you're wicked. Yes. That's what the Bible says. I'm inviting your questions, 20316 SMS line, WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. Financial Clinic, Laws of Wealth Creation. It begins with your attitude. I love that. Before we get back into this conversation, I don't know if you are able to see, I think this week and last week, I saw 3 different individuals on Facebook putting together and creating ICU beds. And I thought, Kenyans are innovative. Kenyans are so innovative. You know, I mean, you look at those beds and you're thinking, this looks like great quality. And so I was wondering, you know, how is it that we are not empowering these young men and young women to be innovative? It almost seems like you innovate something and then it goes nowhere. We still end up importing mpaka toothpicks kutoka huko China. Ni kama hapa hatuna miti za toothpicks. And so I was just wondering, how do we encourage our young people to be innovative, create spaces for them? Can the government do more in this area? I got an opportunity to talk to a good friend of mine, Bernard Muturi, managing partner, Algam Africa Capital. Listen to what he had to say about this whole issue. Bernard, how are you doing?
Very well. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for agreeing to talk to us this morning. Now, I'm just wondering whether the government is doing enough to help young innovators to be able to thrive in this country. Lately, I've been seeing some young people making some very nice ICU beds and posting them on social media. And I've been wondering, why do we import this thing? So I wanted to find out from you, what can the government do to be able to equip our young people and to encourage innovation in this country?
I think the government is still struggling with complexity of the current pandemic.
Okay.
And that has sort of affected the rate at which it's able to prioritize certain things. You know, in terms of the local support at the grassroots level, I don't think they're doing much because there's a lot they can do to support, you know, small businesses.
Yes.
Especially the most innovative ones that are able to, you know, step in and help the system to deal with the current pandemic. So in terms of what they can, the kind of support they can offer, I think is just, availability of resources, be it materials, be it seed capital, for the businesses to be able to acquire the right materials. And also in the whole process of, registration and compliance. Small businesses have to go through a long list of registration and compliance, to be able even to start operating. So they can offer support even if it's in terms of standardization. For an ICU bed to be complete, what sort of standards do you need? They can facilitate around that, so that the product coming from these innovative minds is ready for the market. It's built to completion in a way that it's easily absorbed by the market. I remember seeing one ventilator. I think it was done by, I don't know which university. I don't know if it was JQH. They did a ventilator, and if you looked at it, it was good and ready for use. So the government can come in and support at that level in terms of standardization, and also help them scale and mass produce. Because at the end of the day, you need a lot of these things.
Very true. Because I was just wondering, is it that our leaders lack vision? Because when I saw that bed and even the ventilator that you've reminded me of, I thought, if you challenge Kenyans, what is it that they can't create? And I'm wondering, why do we have to import a lot of the things that we import? Is it that our leaders lack the vision to see where we are going and to be able to build up ourselves as a country, or has corruption just confused all of us?
I think there's that lack of vision and foresight at one level. Because, with devolution, they would have expected that the local level, there are resources available across the counties. And we have seen what the impact of that has been with counties that have been able to try and, mobilize people and bring people on board on the drawing table. A county like Makueni, which has been able to set up plants, processing plants for its people. So if you have leadership, even at the grassroots level, then you're able to steer people in one direction. The second thing is corruption, definitely. We can't say that there's no corruption. Definitely that is there. And that's stealing away resources that would have been utilized into productive segments of the economy.
That's true.
And the third thing is, interest. You have interest and interest groups. With all these kinds of needs, and people looking after their own.
Wow. So what's the way forward for our young innovators?
I think we are seeing pockets of emerging opportunities in terms of availability of capital. There are certain innovative ways the young people can try and raise capital where they don't have capital. And one of those ways is crowdfunding. So you set up your idea there and attract people who would be willing to fund your idea. Because even the mainstream funding is drying up at the moment because of the current pandemic. So I think the first thing is just to have an idea and have the courage to implement it. Then go out and look for people who have the same mindset. And you'll get support to implement it.
Your questions are coming through on 20316, WhatsApp on 0786 316 316. Somebody is asking, Rina, that attitude of servant number 3, that attitude of fear of failure, so you tend to hold on to what you have. She's saying, how can I break it over my life? Because she identifies with the third servant.
The third servant. And many of us do. And actually, the truth is that is what stops a lot of us from being a success, because of fear of our inadequacies, which will cause us to not do well, fear of what others will think, fear of not being accepted, fear of losing everything, fear of what is it going to cost me, a lot of fear. So I think the first thing is, without a vision of what you want to accomplish, then fear will overcome you. And so you need to be clear. So first of all, who are you? I'm going through a program called Biblical Entrepreneurship. And anybody who is an entrepreneur or has a business idea, I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. So let's just do a quick plug-in, actually, because it's a fantastic thing. It's called the Nehemiah Project. And if you can go Facebook, Nehemiah Project Kenya, just Google, search on your Facebook page, you'll find them and you can read about it. And one of the things that I've discovered is this fear. I had it and I still have it, and I have to overcome it daily.
You have it?
Yes.
The way you're all out.
I am all out, but I'm every day pushing through beyond fear.
That's encouraging.
To try and overcome it.
Okay.
I fear what people think about me. I fear about the mistakes I'm going to make as I speak now.
Wow.
I fear that I'm not going to say the things that I should, the way that I should, and I will not sound eloquent. That's a constant fear I have. Do you know, it took me 3 years to write my book. Beyond the fact that I had children and was pregnant, I had the fear that, what do I even know? What value can I add to anybody? Who will read my book? But I had to push through beyond that fear because I had a vision. And what was my vision? Being able to have an impact in other people's lives. And I knew something that others don't. And yes, there's 65 million other people ahead of me who are better than me, who know more than me. But guess what? God has deposited certain things within me that I have a responsibility to then grow and to do something with. And that something is what I know to do now, which is educate people and give people opportunities to invest their money and also educate them on how and what to do in the management of their money. That's my responsibility. And I have abilities and talents and networks that will enable me to do that effectively. Now, if I sit on that talent, there's people who will not hear, there's people who make mistakes, and guess what? God will be so mad with me and will call me wicked and lazy. That is something I don't want. So it is, if it is fear, by the way, fear we will fight, and I will conquer those limiting beliefs in my mind and those saboteurs that are telling me that I can't do it and I'm not great enough and judging every word that I say. And I will keep telling myself I am great and God has deposited with me greatness, and this greatness is going to come out because it has to. So there are confessions I have to constantly tell myself and pump myself up even when my mind is telling me otherwise. The other thing is, besides vision, is advisors.
Yes, somebody was asking, about that. They were saying that, let me see if I can find it. Yes. My question is, we are different in the present life that we are living in. It is said that lazima kukuwe na mtu wa kukushika mkono for you to succeed. I'm wondering whether that's true. My friends that we cleared college with got people to assist them. They are far compared to where I am. Where do I begin?
Yeah. People who get others to assist them are much further than anybody who has nobody to assist them or who don't bother to get anybody to assist them. And assistance means mentorship. Assistance means counselors. Assistance means advisors. People who you can go to. The Bible says plans fail for a lack of counsel. But with many advisors, they succeed.
Yes.
So seek help. If you don't know, talk to somebody. Do you know, when I was in the process of writing, for example, since I used that example, I talked to so many people. This is my idea. I went back to my school, Strathmore Business School, where I did my MBA, to talk to a professor there and ask him, could you just read this manuscript and tell me whether I've made myself? That was scary. It was scary for me to go to industry leaders and ask them to read my content and critique it, because they gave me advice. They're like, you forgot about this, read this other book and see how they bring this out. Help me and that was really helpful in pointing me to the right direction. And I walked with somebody hand in hand. I even paid him as an advisor.
Wow. You invested.
Consultant. I invested. I paid him every month to walk with me a journey to ensure that I am accountable, to ensure that I deliver and I finish this project. And he was guiding me because he's a publisher who has done this before many times. But the arrangement was he's going to be my advisor. And I invested in that money that I had to get from my husband, and I just, for this project. So you have to invest
I like what you said. You brought along somebody who has experience in what you want to do.
Yes.
Because sometimes we talk about advisors and your advisor is your sister-in-law, your auntie, your mom. They have no idea about what you want to do, but you're still going to them. Or people who have tried and failed. A friend of mine keeps telling me, Pastor, if you want to buy your own house, don't talk to people who rent.
Exactly.
Talk to people who have their own house.
Who have their own house. And not just have their own house, who are architects, who are people who are in construction, who have done this, professionals. The question is, what is your vision and where do you want to go?
Yeah.
If your vision is to go to the skies, you need to look at people who are close to the sky so that you know how to get there. I mean, the people I kind of follow are people who are, you know, doing amazing things in industry, because those are the people I want to kind of emulate and sort of see how can I get there. And they are my advisors, whether they know it or they don't, because I read what they're doing, I follow their stories, I know their history, and they're helpful. Advisors don't necessarily have to be people who you go and sit across the table with, look each other in the eyes and learn from. You can learn from people from reading about them, from following their Facebook pages, Twitter accounts, and just listening to what it is that they have to say. Then the other one is, with regard to fear, is you have to prepare. You have to do the work. You have to do the research. You can't just wake up and decide, I was born to be a this, and you go ahead and do it. The fear comes from, I might fail, is because you've not done the right preparation. If you need to go back to school to learn the tools, please, by all means, invest in that. If you need to be able to read up about it, go and do some market research to find out whether this product you want to launch is viable and whether it's going to work. By all means, do the work, so that by the time you're coming to sell your product or your service, then you've done the work and you're not coming in a situation of fear. And if you fear, then you'll never make that one step. And just take a step at a time. And imagine, failure is not necessarily a bad thing. So why are you fearful of failure? Why? And so if you fail, what if you fail?
I think sometimes we are so concerned about what other people will say and what other people think, and so I venture into this activity, and you know, the way we are nowadays, we announce a lot on social media, and then it doesn't go through, and you're afraid, what will people think? I have had so many failures. There is a lot of shame. There's a lot of shame, but the thing is to not give up hope. I'm sure even now as we're speaking, and I must recognize the fact that a lot of people are in very challenging circumstances because of the season that we're in. I mean, COVID-19, people have lost jobs, others' salaries are slashed, others have jobs but are fearful that, by the way, they will wake up and they're told, we don't need you anymore. I know people have been told, but by the way, you're too expensive for this company and we're going to have to let you go. So I recognize that. But you know what, guys? We cannot lose hope. And we have a Father who is able and who will come through. And we just need to find a way to get our minds to think in that way, to think positively, to dream again, to seek Him for visions and dreams and ideas. Because even in a season of crisis, there's an opportunity for you in the way God has wired you. So where is that opportunity and how can you begin to do it? I remember I was running, I love to run, and I was at, on Father's Day, I decided to do a run with my dad. So I went to see him and we were running, and we got to this bypass along Windsor. And for, you know, I'd never seen it that way because I grew up in that area. There was vehicles, very many cars, pro boxes and yeasts and pickups and people selling fruits and vegetables from their car boots. And I'm like, well done that you're not sitting at home wallowing in pity and sadness and depression that you've lost your job or your business has gone under. Find a way. What is the need in my neighborhood? Are people having to travel far to get oranges and tomatoes and onions and eggs and whatever it is that they need for their... I mean, along that area, there's a lot of traffic and there's homes. What can you do? What do you have in your hand, and what need is there that you can satisfy even to meet your basic needs right now? There's an opportunity. Whatever it is, you just need to stop thinking, get off your high horse and just try and ask God for ideas, and the ideas will come. You know, as we finish, because we're almost out of time, when I posted that question, I was asking about the 2 million bob and the job. There's a friend of mine, Ogwang. Ogwang is an intellectual property lawyer, and he was saying, forget even the money, forget about even the job opportunity. What most people lack is an idea. And he was saying, if you have an idea, you will find people to invest in your idea. The money will come. He says the problem with many of us is we don't have ideas. We don't want to think. We don't want to think things through. Employment is safe, you know, because job description, this is what I do every day, then I go home at the end of the month, I get my money, I'm safe there. But we don't want to think outside the box and think of what else can I do. I have a friend of mine who tells me one day a week, Monday is his thinking day. He doesn't go to the office. He has his own business. Doesn't go to the office. He sits and thinks. He goes to a restaurant or somewhere with a notebook and he thinks about his business the whole day. From about 8, ni kama ameenda kazini or ofisi, but it's just a day to think and explore possibilities, opportunities. What am I not seeing? So I don't know what you think about that whole process of thinking and ideas.
Yeah. It is very key. Actually, without reflection, without thinking, when I think about it, you're always reacting.
Yeah.
As opposed to being proactive and seeing where the opportunity is and exploring it ahead of time. And, you know, if I counted the number of questions I've received, whether that's on social media, in my inbox, asking, I have X amount of money, what business can I start? I'd be very rich if I was being given money for each question that was being asked.
Yes, that's a common question.
It is such a common question, but that question makes my blood boil. Because you can't have money and ask, what business can I start with this money?
Yeah.
It's the wrong way to go about it, and I agree with your intellectual property friend 100% that you must have the idea first, test it first, see is it viable, and then it's based on, first of all, a business needs to be set on certain things, right? It needs to be based on who are you as an individual, what abilities, skills, talents do you have? I can't tell you what business to start because will you be able to follow through on it? And when tough times comes, what's going to happen?
Rina is the one who
She's the one who told me this thing doesn't work. And yet if I started the same business, I'll be a roaring success because I am wired in that way. I was having a conversation with a coach yesterday who told me, you know, if I just looked at you, for example, would you start a business for trucks? And I laughed out loud. I'm like, there's no way. I mean, the driver calls me and says, Sasa, karawa amenishika. I'm like, what the heck am I going to do? I don't need to be in those kind of problems. But the guys who thrive in those situations. So the idea is the core. The idea is the core, and then the money will come, the resources will come, and you just start where you're at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Reminder, that Facebook page you mentioned.
Nehemiah Project. Yes, Nehemiah Project Kenya. Nehemiah Project Kenya. Go on Facebook. You can also check the internet, Nehemiah Community, I think .com. They're brilliant. It's Bible-based. It has been so amazing for me to go back to who am I, what is my identity, what is my destiny, what has God called me to do. It's been an opportunity for me to think back, reflect on what I have, what skills do I have. There's so many audits that you do. This thinking day, like every day becomes like that, of trying to think and strategize for the business that God has called you. When you look at the world and those who are wealthy, all the wealthy have a business. It's not from being employed or investing in stocks or investing in, I don't know what, it's investing in business. So God has ideas and opportunities for you based on how you're wired, and you can start a business and do really, really well.
Wow, Rina, thank you so much for coming in today. We appreciate
My pleasure.
Your wealth of knowledge. My friend,
Thank you for having me.
I hope you've gotten some nuggets that can help you start from where you are and grow from there.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs, from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.